Rob Tebbutt for One-on-One Boxing, and welcome to my preview of this weekend's undisputed super middleweight title bout between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Jermell Charlo. It's undisputed versus undisputed in Las Vegas this weekend. Who's going to win? Let's find out. So it is fight week. We are just a few days removed from Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo in a fight that took a lot of us by surprise and has really started to capture the imagination. Jermell Charlo, the undisputed king at 154 pounds, jumping up 2 weight classes to take on the great Mexican Saul Canelo Alvarez for all the marbles at 168 pounds. Now there is maybe this notion that Canelo Alvarez isn't quite the fighter that he once was, the fighter that unified the entire super middleweight division in just over a couple of years ago, but he is still the undisputed champion and still one of the very best fighters in the world, and rightfully goes into the bout this weekend with Jermell Charlo as a significant favorite. Now, Jermell Charlo, the first man to collect all 4 belts at super welterweight, steps up into this fight really with no pressure on him at all. He's jumping 2 weight classes, and a win would be a seismic upset and would see Jermell Charlo ranked as one of the very best fighters in the world, pound for pound. But one man who has got his own ideas on Saturday night is Saul Canelo Alvarez, and here's what he had to say at the announcement press conference just a few weeks ago.
I understand what the people say, and I agree. No, I don't look my best in the last 2 fights, but I know why, and I'm ready for this fight, and we'll see what is gonna happen. You're gonna see something different.
So that was Canelo Alvarez in confident mood ahead of his bout with Jermell Charlo this weekend, and why wouldn't he be? He's only lost 1 bout in the last 10 years since that defeat to Floyd Mayweather, and it came last year against Dimitri Bivol at 175 pounds, which I think we all know now is not Canelo Alvarez's best weight. He goes into this weekend the naturally bigger man, and of course bedded in now at super middleweight, he will have the size advantage over Jermell Charlo, but Jermell Charlo is not a small man, and particularly not a small super welterweight. I think Jermell Charlo will carry the weight pretty well this weekend, provided he doesn't put too much weight on and come in too heavy. I think he still needs to be light on his feet and make use of the attributes that have seen him be so successful down at 154 pounds. Jermell Charlo, one of the biggest punchers pound for pound in the sport, boasting a fearsome knockout percentage. When you consider the amount of punches that he throws, is among the lowest in the sport as well. A very deadly KO artist, Jermell Charlo, and he is fully confident and fully convinced that he's going to be the man to upset Canelo Alvarez, and here's what he had to say just a few weeks ago.
I'm going to get in there and I'm going to train my ass off. I'm going to fight my ass off, and I'm going to be intelligent. I know I'm moving up 2 weight divisions. Who cares? Who give a damn? You know? But that don't stop what I'm finna get in there and how I do it and the way I do it. So I'm excited for this moment.
So that was Jermell Charlo, who is looking to rubber stamp his place in the boxing history books and become a boxing Hall of Famer, which he absolutely certainly would with a win over Canelo Alvarez. How is the fight going to be won and lost? We're going to have to hear from the men in the corners, and starting off with the one and only Eddie Reynoso, of course, trainer, manager and mentor for Saul Canelo Alvarez. Here's what he had to say about the threat of Jermell Charlo this weekend.
Los estilos de Charlo y el estilo de Saúl creo que reúnen los requisitos para que sea una gran batalla.
Styles make fights, and I believe that Canelo and Charlo's styles clash perfectly to make this a great fight on September 30th.
Así es que los esperamos el 30 en Las Vegas para que disfruten una gran pelea.
So come on out on the 30th to Las Vegas. It's going to be a great fight.
So that was Eddie Reynoso, of course, has been Canelo's trainer and manager since he made his professional debut at 15 all of those years ago in Mexico. And Reynoso has overseen the development and the transitions of Canelo. Canelo 154 pounds a few years ago, much more of a combination puncher, and he's really progressed and developed over the years into being this front foot pressure fighter, this stalker who loads up with these big single shots, as we saw against Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant in his world title fights at super middleweight in the recent past. But what version of Canelo Alvarez will we see this Saturday against Jermell Charlo? Well, one man who is going to be prepared for any eventuality is the man in the opposite corner, last year's trainer of the year, Derek James, who had this to say about the task ahead of Jermell Charlo this weekend.
Coming with fireworks, I'm sure Canelo's coming with fireworks. I'm looking forward to having a great performance and a great victory that night. Thank you all.
So that was Derek James, of course, trainer of Jermell Charlo, among others. But for me, where this fight is going to be won and lost is the second half of the fight. I expect Jermell Charlo to come in, still be nice and light on his feet and not put too much weight on. It wouldn't surprise me to see Jermell Charlo weighing in at 165, 166 and not making the most of the 160-pound weight limit in order to retain that speed, that freshness, which could be the deciding factor against Canelo, who isn't getting any younger. Okay, he's not 37, 38, but he's had a lot of fights and a lot of fights at the very top level. Canelo's had 63 bouts, 23 of them against current, former or future world champions. That's a lot of fights and will catch up with anybody. But we've been assured by Canelo that he is now fighting fit, shaken off any niggling injuries, and we can see the best of him this weekend. But for Jermell Charlo, I think it's important for him to retain that speed, to do all of the things that have brought him so much success at 154 pounds, but it's going to be in that second half of the fight. Once Canelo has continued to apply that pressure in the early rounds, making Jermell Charlo work when he's not used to working, when he doesn't want to work, making him punch when he doesn't want to punch. Canelo, a master at making the opponent work when they don't really want to, and I do expect the additional weight for Jermell Charlo to be a problem as the fight progresses. I think Canelo will look to target the body and slow Jermell Charlo down. We've seen Charlo in the past hurt by the likes of Brian Castano and Tony Harrison. Castano, a similar sort of fighter to maybe the old version of Canelo, shorter fighter coming forward and putting the pressure on with combinations. Canelo, a much bigger, a much more dangerous version of that fighter in Brian Castano, and I do expect Canelo to ultimately put the pressure on and break Charlo down as the fight goes on. For me, my pick is going to be Canelo Alvarez to win by stoppage at some point late on in the fight, maybe between rounds 9 and 12. But Jermell Charlo really is on a hiding to nothing here. No pressure at all for Jermell Charlo, and he will be fancying his chances of going in there and upsetting the odds against Canelo Alvarez. If he's going to do so, I think it's important that he makes Canelo Alvarez feel one of those right hands early on in the fight, but we know how good Canelo's chin is, and whether Jermell Charlo can make a dent on him, we'll have to find out this weekend in Las Vegas. But for me, it's a brilliant fight, and a fight that I think has become more and more interesting and intriguing as the weeks have gone by. A lot's been made about the size difference between the two men, but let's not forget they were both world champions at the same time at 154 pounds in 2016. So they're not too far apart, and I do expect a very competitive bout this weekend, but it is one that I expect Canelo Alvarez to win by late stoppage. So that was my preview of Canelo Alvarez versus Jermell Charlo this weekend. Make sure you lock into one-on-one boxing. We'll be there in Las Vegas. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win this weekend. Will it be Canelo Alvarez, or will Jermell Charlo shake up the boxing world with a huge upset win? Let us know in the comments, and we'll catch up with you next time.